Welcome to Mission Imperfect, the podcast about navigating the twists and turns of life and embracing the imperfections of the journey.
We're your hosts, life coaches Catherine and Kirsty, and our mission is to support you in finding your own path, your own way, with greater clarity and self trust, no matter how messy or uncertain things may seem.
We address the roadblocks that come up time and time again for our coaching clients, from acceptance and boundaries to values and well-being and everything in between.
As well as asking lots of questions, a coach's favourite thing to do, we'll be sharing thoughts and insights and offering plenty of tips, tools, and techniques for you to try.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to grab a cuppa and a biscuit and join us in getting lost in finding ourselves.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mission Imperfect. So, we are following on from our episode last week about feeling good enough and that pesky question that neither of us particularly like, which is that idea of I'm not good enough. So, we spoke a bit about that last week. So, we're following up this week with our tips, tools, and techniques bite-sized episode.
We are indeed. And talking of not feeling good enough, I definitely don't feel good enough today because I'm full of snot. So I apologise for a slightly nasally twang into this episode and for any coughing. But moving back to the bigger question of feeling good enough. Yeah, these are a few of our tips, tools, and techniques. Have we settled on that order now? It seems to be coming out more often
Yes,
as
I think
tips,
so.
tools, and techniques,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Not that it has to. Um, so yeah, these just a handful of suggestions as to things that might help you start down that path if that's where you want to go. And the first thing is an exercise that I came across, and I think you've done this as well, Catherine, as part of a coaching program by Shazad Shamin. I think I'm saying that right.
Yes.
He's the author of Positive Intelligence, and he quite often runs, is it the PQ courses they're called? Sort of
Yes.
online
Yeah,
training
they are.
courses, programs.
For
Online courses for
coaches.
programs, online programs for coaches is what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah, it would appear that phlegm interferes with coherent thinking and speech. Sorry about
Well, I've got no excuse.
that. Um, but yeah, this exercise, it's a really, really simple one, but it's really surprisingly powerful. And neither Catherine and I can remember it having a name when it's done as part of this program, but I have called it the stop being such a twat to yourself, or possibly the kind of self-talk exercise, depending on which angle you prefer. And it's really helpful. How many times can I say the word really in this episode? Is anyone counting? I think it's quite a lot. But here we go in. It's really fabulous for changing the way that you judge yourself and speak to yourself and helping you reconnect with your inner child. And all you need, this is going to sound a little odd, is a photo of yourself as a child, something to listen to an audio track on, and you can find that audio track that I've recorded for it on my website. There's a link in the show notes. And a couple of minutes of privacy. Privacy to listen to it because it's always best to do these things privately, but also because I think every time I've done it with clients and in groups, there have been tears. Um, which might sound a bit negative, but let me also say that one participant in a workshop I ran where I did this exercise has told me afterwards that she now always keeps that childhood picture on her desk because it really helps her tone down her inner critic when she's working, and she's found it very helpful. So the idea is, I mean, not to spoil the surprise when you do it, but the idea is that all the things that you say to yourself in the privacy of your own head about how you're not good enough, all that judgment and criticism that you level at yourself, you have to say to that photo of yourself, you have to say it to a small child because that child is you. It sounds simple. It might sound a bit bland, but give it a go and you might be surprised at what comes out of that for you. And you can find my version of that as an audio track on the resources page of my website, coachingbykirsty.co.uk. It's free. As you said, all you need is a means of listening to it. Picture yourself as a child and a couple of minutes of privacy.
Yeah. I think what I really like about it is, for me, I think the trick is it's kind of externalizing that criticism. We've always said, and I think it's commonly accepted, isn't it, that we are often our own harshest critic. It's very easy to say something derogatory to yourself and just kind of accept it or not really acknowledge how harsh it is. So in doing this exercise, you're pushing it onto, suddenly it doesn't feel acceptable to push that onto a child, but that child was actually you. So it's helping you recognize the harshness of your own words. It shouldn't actually be directed at anybody. And I think that was what I found such a
Yeah.
revelation of the PQ course, because it was quite some time ago that I did it, but I remember going through all this detail of, we all have these saboteurs, these characteristics within ourselves. We all have this character, the judge,
Hmm.
and it's to what extent we have that character, the judge, but then there are all sorts of other saboteurs. And it really normalizes that it's okay to be this very flawed human, but you can help sort of manage your language and your thinking around it. And as we know from everything we've said, everything becomes a practice, a habit. So this idea that we can actually talk more kindly to ourselves,
Yeah.
as you rightly said at the very start, Kirsty, the kind of self-talk, it really can become a reality. And I think what we're trying to offer today are just some tips, tools, and techniques on how to actually make that possible, because it sounds great, doesn't it? Saying, oh, yes, I'll talk more kindly to myself. But how do you actually do that?
Yes, and I think that kind of fairly emotional shock of trying to address really harsh criticism at a small child shakes you. It certainly shook me. Um, and of course, a lot of our conditioning, our sense of ourselves forms when we are small children. This little person is the one who started to take on board those those ideas about not being good enough. Just based on the way that what the people around them that they depended on, that they saw behave towards them, and what they said and did. And so you're getting right back in touch with that sort of fundamental essence of yourself and how they felt. And it's, yeah, I said, I was certainly very moved and influenced by it the first time I went through it. And it's never been anything but sort of eye-opening for the people I've done it with since.
Great. So that's our first tip.
Our first tip, yes, I use the nice phrase, the kind of self-talk exercise, although my favorite label is the stop being such a twat to yourself exercise. And
Actually,
this leads into our second tip, which is Catherine's great question. That is its formal title now.
all right. Oh, thank you. Yes. But yeah, we hinted at this in our episode last week. And really it came down to, I've realized the power of words, I think, from being a coach. So when there is the phrase, I'm not good enough, which we know is quite a common phrase to be bandied around, I really don't like it. And it's for more than the obvious reason that, it deserves to be challenged. But it's because, really, what does it mean? It's a bit of a catch-all. It's possibly a little bit throwaway. It's a bit vague. So my issue with it is, if I come across a client who will perhaps say that, then we're going to dig into that and finish the sentence, say the whole thing, and be prepared to challenge it. So, for example, I'm not good enough for what? To be what? To have what? To do what? So you might insert
Mm.
your dream occupation, for example. We're going to make it a bit more specific than just a generic, I'm not good enough. And then whilst we're at it, the word good as well. I'm not really a fan of that one, because what does that actually mean either? It's a little bit of a meaningless catch all.
It is,
So then
isn't it?
once you've
Yeah.
actually changed it from I'm not good enough to I'm not something, the belief that you might have, to do, to be, or for, and you finish that sentence, you can really check it for its truthfulness. I mean, sometimes there might be a truth there. So, for example, I am not tall enough to be a model. That is probably just a very simple fact. It's kind of fortunate I don't have a desire to be one. But for other examples, is there actually a way that that belief could become untrue? What might it take to become untrue? Are you willing to put the time and effort in for it to become untrue? Or is there
Yeah.
something closely connected to it? Even if the first reality might seem really hard to reach, what is the next step or something aligned to it that
Mm.
really could become true? Because I think just saying I'm not good enough allows you a sort of a bit of a get out of jail free card to not try.
I think it does. It's that we're putting the W back onto allow, aren't we? It allows you a bit of
Yeah.
wallowing
Mm.
in that sort of poor little me moment, and then we all need that sometimes. Um, you need space to sort of acknowledge what feels wrong and how you don't feel good enough. It's to have that emotional response to something is valid. We're not saying you shouldn't feel that way. We don't like the shoulds, do we?
No.
It's what you do with that. It's how you respond to it that makes the difference.
Yeah. And I think in
And
life,
this
let's be
question
honest,
is, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say in life, it's not that often that the things that we would use to complete that sentence have really hard and fast measures attached to them.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there are. So, for example, you have to be, I don't know, 5'20" or whatever it is to be a model. It's just, there might be some kind of measure, threshold, test, whatever it might be. That is a line in the sand that you do have to get over to get to the other side and have whatever that is.
Well,
But for a lot of things, there
mm,
aren't. When people say things like, "Oh, I maybe I'm not worthy of this person," or "I don't think I could ever be a whatever it might be," it's like, what measures are you really putting in place there that
mm,
actually apply? Or are you just downplaying A, your abilities, or B, the risk that you might not get it? All those things are much more subtle, and we are putting the obstacles in place rather than actually being that
yeah,
threshold.
absolutely. I mean, that really simple question of how do you finish the sentence, I'm not good enough, it can change it completely into a tool for helping you move forward. Or sometimes, I mean, because we do emphasize this quite a lot, the coaching and the self analysis and discovery, it doesn't have to lead to doing something different. It can lead to a confirmation that you're okay where and how you are.
Yes.
So the when you ask yourself that, how do I finish that sentence? I'm not good enough. Maybe it gives you the start of a tool set to start moving forward and to feel that you are good enough and that you can change things and do what you want. Or it may be that you come out and you go, you know what? That is unrealistic. That doesn't feel right for me. And I'm glad to have understood that. It's not this is no longer a woe is me thing. This is just how things are, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's making sure you understand that part. I think that's what we're getting at. Is
Yeah,
we'd rather you didn't just sort of say and believe that without really digging into it a little bit further. And that really is what we do, really, isn't it, Kirsty, in a nutshell?
yeah. Yes, it's about understanding yourself and what really matters to you and being okay with that, I think.
Mm.
So we've got the kind of self-talk exercise. We've got the how do you finish the sentence? I'm not good enough. And then we've kind of just touched on this, the idea I think you mentioned it quite specifically that sometimes that I'm not good enough feeling allows us to hide a bit
Yeah.
and to sort of stay in a comfort zone rather than taking risks and pushing ourselves. So this final little tip for today is all around trying to recognize, what does not feeling good enough allow you to do or not do. So we tend to see this whole I'm not good enough as something that sadly holds us back from doing what we want to do. But the truth is that it might actually be keeping us safe from something that scares us. The whole, oh, I'm not experienced enough for that role. Um, it might be a completely rational and objective assessment of your suitability for a promotion or a new job, or it might be a way of avoiding the fear of rejection from something that actually you do want. And in this sense of telling ourselves we're not good enough, we tend to we focus so much on the negatives that a very simple tool to help readjust that is to start focusing on positives. So make a list of 3 things that you like about yourself. What do you think your good qualities are? And maybe you can ask others to do the same for you. It's almost becomes a kind of a game, doesn't it? What do you think your best quality is, and what are others picking for you? It's a different way of seeing yourself and focusing on what is good about you. Stepping out of that negativity and fear into actually, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty cool.
Yeah. What's
Maybe I don't
nice
like
about
everything about
that?
myself, but there are strengths here.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's nice about that is you might hear the same qualities back from someone else, which is really nice because then what you think is also perhaps what another has perceived in you. But you could end up with 6. So that's not a
Yeah,
bad thing either. You could end up with 6 really good qualities about yourself. And none of it's right or wrong. It's what's
no,
been picked up by people. So I don't see a lose, hopefully, in that situation.
absolutely. I mean, I've labeled it as 3 things, but I mean that's a random number really, because three's a good number for a lot of things. But it could be any number. If sometimes when we're really low and struggling, 3 things can seem too much. Make it 1. Start from there. And you can also play it the other way. Now, this might sound a bit surprising, but what if you were to pick 3 things about yourself that you don't like, that you would consider to be problematic? Because when you do that, I think very often what we find is they mostly turn out to be behaviors, not qualities.
Mm.
So it'll be things we do or how we respond to things, how we do things, perhaps how we think other people perceive us, rather than something that is absolutely fundamental and integral to who we are. So when you spot that, ask yourself things about it. Get curious. How has this particular behavior or way of responding served me in the past? What would I like to change about it or replace it with? And what's one positive step I can take towards doing that? And very often when people are asked that about themselves, they start coming up with physical characteristics as well. And I guess the question there is how is that actually affecting your experience of life? What can you do to change that? And is that what other people are seeing about you? Especially if you've already done the whole 3 good things about myself thing and ask somebody else about it. Is what they're saying about you that's positive in any way reflecting this sense of negativity that you feel about yourself? Did they say I couldn't come up with anything positive because of this terrible, terrible flaw that you've got? Your nose is too big. No, they didn't. Did they say no, there's nothing positive about you because you lose your temper sometimes? No, they didn't. And also, when you're looking at those things about yourself that you dislike, just question yourself as to whether you truly don't like them, whether they really bother you, or whether they're things that you think should bother you, that other people have suggested should bother you, that you think don't conform to what you should be, because that's a very different thing to you not liking it.
Yeah, definitely. And we're not saying it's easy because we have, as we've spoken about in many other episodes, there's so many opportunities in which to compare ourselves either to others or to ideals. And it is hard. We're not immune to seeing these things and feeling a certain way. But actually, as we keep on going back to, it's when you really consider something and examine it, you'll actually see what is the truth in this that really matters. And that's actually the only bit that really counts. When it comes to things like physical characteristics, God, I can't even say it, characteristics,
It's
we're all
catchy.
likely to find we're all likely to find something that we don't like. But then you think about people you know, is that what you really think of when you
Yeah,
think of that person? It
exactly.
probably isn't. You'll think of their kindness, their generosity, how much fun they are to be with. Those are the things that you'll
Yeah.
think of, not that, I don't know, they are whatever it might be. You probably can't even think of it. It's just not how we
Yeah, we
really
just,
connect to other people. Yeah,
the things that seem hugely problematic to us about ourselves probably aren't noticed in the same way by others.
yeah,
And even if they
absolutely.
are they actually fundamental to who you are, or are they just things that you do, ways that you behave? Because if they are, these are things that can change.
Absolutely.
So a
So there
quick
we go.
wrap up then, shall we, of our tips,
Yeah,
tools, and
absolutely.
techniques for starting to feel good enough. There is the exercise from Shazad Shamin that variously entitled Stop Being Such a Twat to Yourself, or the kind of self-talk exercise. And there is a link in the show notes to where you can find that. There's Catherine's great question. How do you finish the sentence? I'm not good enough. There is just asking yourself, what does not feeling good enough allow you to do or not do? And what three things do you like about yourself and possibly dislike about yourself? Get curious about whether they're really you. And that's it from us for today. We hope that helps. If you find any of that useful, we'd love to hear about it. So do feel free to get in touch on social media through the contacts on our website and let us know how you get on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's it for this week, and we'll see you all soon for another episode. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Mission Imperfect. We'd love to hear your thoughts on any of our episodes, especially if you've had a light bulb moment in answering one of the questions, have benefited from one of the tips, or have a suggestion for an episode topic.
And if these conversations have made you curious about how coaching could help you, please don't hesitate to get in touch with one or both of us to find out more about what we offer. Until next time, keep being imperfectly you. No one does it better.